Hello, everybody. How are you doing this fabulous Saturday morning? I hope you're doing great. I'm having a good hair day, you guys. Look at this. Look, I'm so excited. My hair has truly grown back. And so now I'm in that wonderful stage of trying to figure out, how to fix it and deal with the curls and now that are getting longer. But anyway, here we are. It is the first weekend in April. Yay! So if you are here joining me live, please let me know in the comments. I love to say good morning, to say hello to all of my friends who are joining me live here. And if this is the first time, and I'm going to be sharing, um, let's see here. I'm going to be sharing with some folks so that they know that I'm live. But if you are here, say good morning, say hello. It's always good to see you. Hello, my bear. Yep, mom's hair is growing back in, and I love it. Very happy, very happy to have hair. If you are seeing me live for the first time, this is your first time to catch my live stream here on either Facebook or YouTube. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for taking a moment to say hello. My name is Ronnie. I do this little segment called From the Editor's Desk on Saturday mornings. I love to catch up with you all and talk about the week that was, all of the newsworthy events that happened this week that make for great stories. And I also love to share some great stories, some great works from people who are friends of mine, who are writers and artists. And I love to help you share your content and share your stories. So it's good to have you here. Thanks so much. Yes, Bear, good morning, my sweet girl. Love you so much. Hi, Sherry. Good to see you this morning. Thanks. Listen, it's growing back. So for those of you that are catching the broadcast, and this is your first time to see me, again, thanks. The reason why I talk about my hair and give hair updates is because through 2019 and into 2020, I was dealing with breast cancer and I had no hair. I used to have really long flowing locks. And then I cut it short and then it all came off. And so this is a result of a year of me growing my hair back. Plus, I've had some haircuts too. So I am blessed and so thankful to have my hair back. So, yay for hair. So, happy Easter weekend. It is the first weekend in the month of April. And if you're watching live, thank you for spending your Holy Saturday with me because it is Holy Saturday. We started the week with celebrating Passover and the acknowledgement of Passover starting. This whole week, our Jewish friends have been celebrating Passover. And then both Protestant and Catholic Christians, Coptic Christians, Christians around the globe are all celebrating this week that is Easter weekend. It started with Maundy Thursday, the celebration of the feast where Jesus washed the feet of his disciples and exemplified the true nature of serving others and how we are to live our lives serving others. Then, of course, we had Good Friday, which was yesterday. Good Friday fell on Happy Aloha Friday. As you know, I am a Hawaiian girl, and I love to share a little bit of my Hawaiian culture with you. So yes, Good Friday fell on Happy Aloha Friday. Scholars believe that according to the Jewish calendar, Jesus died on a Friday night of Passover week. And so there are several scripture references, which I will recount to you later in this broadcast, about that day. So today now is Holy Saturday, the day that we celebrate the vigil that took place after Jesus was crucified and lay in the tomb. And of course, we all know tomorrow is Easter Sunday. It is the day that we acknowledge and recognize the resurrection, hope, and life of Christ and what that meant for us. So I was going through my coffee cups. I was looking in my coffee cup collection, and here's something that I noticed that I don't have. Of all the coffee cups, right? You guys know that in my coffee cup collection, I have over 170 something coffee cups. I don't have one for Easter, and I don't have one that has the cross on it or a church. Now, the closest thing I had to a church mug, because I went down this morning and looked, is my cup from the Ryman Auditorium, the great mother church in Nashville. But I kind of felt like I didn't want to talk about the Ryman and music venues right now because music venues have really taken a hit with the pandemic, and we are just hoping for all of our live music venues to come back. But I did find a mug that I thought was suitable for talking about Easter weekend and the introduction of a book that I'm super excited about because I'm going to be doing this book in my VIP group book club. And I'm really excited. We're going to be starting it next week. The book drops on Tuesday, so I'll be sharing a little bit about that. But here is today's featured coffee mug. As you know, every week I like to feature one of my coffee mugs from my collection. And if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I'm always posting pictures of my morning mugs and sharing a little bit about them, sharing the stories behind them of my massive coffee cup collection. So today's featured mug is my friend's mug, my pivot, my pivot mug. Because Lord knows we've been doing a lot of pivoting in the last year. 2020 was the year of the pivot. And maybe this Easter weekend, it's a chance for people to really pivot their life, to really change their lives, to really turn and make a difference. So today's featured mug is the pivot mug, my pivot friends mug. And that is what we will sip and salute with this morning. So salute to you guys. Happy Easter. So, got a lot to catch up on. How was your week this week? Did you do anything special? Were you working? I know I was working. I've been working involved with a book launch for this book that is dropping Tuesday. And that has kept me pretty busy. We've been doing a lot of posting on social media. We've been also talking within the launch team, all of the activity that's been going on to help this author launch his book and have it do well on book drop day. That's what we do with a book launch. The whole marketing process behind getting your work out there, especially when you're trying to compete with other titles, really important. So I've been working on that. That caused me to, and because of course this was Easter weekend, a lot of people, Friday was a holiday. Some people even took off on Thursday. So that meant that it was a shorter work week because you didn't have the full 5 days to work, right? Some people may be working through Easter weekend. Some people, our friends, our dear friends that are in retail, people that are working in all of our stores, grocery stores, they're still working, right? So if you're out and about this Easter weekend and you're out shopping and you're seeing people, give them a smile. If they ask if they can help you, say, why, yes, you can. You know what? You can help me by just giving me a smile. I've done that to a couple of people. And at first they kind of look at me like, what? Oh, well, hi. I compliment them on what they're wearing. I sometimes even ask them to help me, even though I may not be shopping for anything particular, because they need to be acknowledged. They're out there working, right? So if you see somebody today and you're out and about, give them a smile. Ask them for a smile. Tell them how much you appreciate them being there, how much you appreciate them serving us, working in their jobs, right? Well, guys, a lot of stories hit the news, a lot of things going on. There's always stories going on around us. So um, I wanted to share a couple of stories that I thought was interesting, and also saying goodbye. Some things ended as of March 31st. And so those are hard. We have to pivot when things go away or stores close or our favorite brands no longer are on the shelves. I can't tell you how many times I have liked something or enjoyed something that was discontinued. I tend to love discontinued products. I don't know if it's just my taste, but once I get to liking something, oh, all of a sudden, no, we're not making that anymore. Oh, we're retiring that, or we're closing. Or because of the pandemic, some businesses have had to close, and that's not been fun. But let's go all the way back to earlier this week because there were a lot of things that happened that were interesting that made the news, right? So, one of those things that made the news this week, and I'm trying to get these all loaded up so you can see them. Let's see, where did I pull the picture up? Okay. Um, I did not pull the picture up. How did I not pull that picture up? Let's see. So, how many of you were following the story of the ship in the Suez Canal? Now, I don't know about you guys, but my Facebook feed and my Instagram feed were filled with so many pictures of people sharing pictures of the ship that was lodged, right? And there was some confusion over the ship's name. Was it Evergreen? I heard it referred to as Ever Given. So the funny thing is that the ship is called Ever Given and the company was Evergreen. And now there's all these lawsuits going back and forth about, well, whose fault was it? Because that ship was stuck in the Suez Canal. And if you know what the Suez Canal is, the reason why that canal is there is because it provides a way for ships to go through there and take cargo to other parts of the world without having to go all the way around the continent of Africa, which adds to the destination time for a lot of these cargo ships. Well, unfortunately, the Ever Given was stuck sideways in the canal, which also blocked any other traffic going through. Millions, 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 millions of dollars of trade completely stopped. I had so many great memes that came through my feed. A couple of them I'll just have to. The ones that I loved was, at least when you make a mistake, your mistake is not a wow, we can see you from space mistake. Aren't you glad? And imagine, and there were so many memes about the large ship and those little bitty tugboats. The little bitty tugboats that worked and worked and worked and worked to finally dislodge, because it wasn't like the ship just floated and was sideways. No, the one end of it lodged into the wall, like the sand wall there, like almost beached itself. So and it was carrying 20,000 uh, shipping containers. If you've ever seen the size of those shipping containers, they're huge, huge. And this thing was stuck. Do you ever feel stuck like that? Remember the episode of Friends where they were trying to move the couch and it was stuck and they were saying pivot? There was a meme that went around about that, even about pivoting, right? Your 27-year-old son ordered a guitar from someone in Russia a long wait, told him it's probably stuck in the Suez Canal. Right. But we don't realize how important it is when the supply chains are halted. I mean, we know what the pandemic did to that. We experienced it when we had the big deep freeze here back in February here in Texas, where everything came to a complete standstill, right? So we know what that's like. Have you ever felt that way about your life? Maybe that your life has come to a complete standstill, or maybe you're trying to get that book project launched and you just don't know how to do it, or maybe you wanted to write your story and you just feel stuck. Maybe you're at a job where you feel stuck because of the pandemic, because you know you need this job, but it's not really where you want to be, right? We've had seasons where we feel stuck. Well, so the boat was finally dislodged. And we are super thankful to all of those workers. You know, we know it was dislodged, but do we know the names of the people who were responsible for that? I mean, if we were to scour the news, we could probably look up their information. But all of the important people that we see that were monumentally helpful in dislodging this ship. Now, yes, the ship is dislodged, it's on its way, but the backlog that was created, they're still trying to catch up from that. We're probably still going to be catching up from that. And imagine the people who were on the ship that it got stuck. I mean, imagine how they felt, right? Was it their fault that the ship got stuck? I think the rudder was messed up, and the rudder is a little bitty part on the back end of this huge ship, right? Little things do matter. Trust me, I know that for real. I'm a little person. Little things matter. So that was a huge story in the news, and the memes that were created from it were hilarious. I have a couple of friends who are not only gifted at meme collecting, but at meme creating. And so I just, that we can laugh in the middle of our mistakes, that we can laugh in the middle of our moments of being stuck. That's a huge thing. It helps us remember that we're not there forever, that we're just pivoting, right? We've got to figure out a way to, and they did, they had to pivot, they had to turn that ship and get it positioned so that it was able to then launch through the canal. Huge, 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 huge. So, sip and salute to all of the people, all of the little tugboats, all of the personnel who worked so tirelessly to get that ship dislodged. We sip and salute you. Well, we had a couple of losses this week, a couple of things that were sad to see. One of them was an app that I used to use a long time ago. Share it here on the screen with you. You guys remember, if you were ever a part of my community back in 2014, well, then you remember Periscope. Periscope, beta tested in 2014, and I was honored to be a part of that initial launch of that app where we were learning all about live streaming. Periscope was one of the first apps. It was a part of Twitter. They were one of the first ones to launch a platform where you could live stream. So those of you who've been with me for all that time, you remember my mornings where I would start off and I would start at 7:02 a.m. Why 7:02 a.m.? People would ask me. Well, isn't it interesting that you remember the time? So 7:02 a.m., I would wake up every morning. I would pull a mug out of my cabinet. I would let you watch me make coffee, and then we would start the day together. Well, after a nice 7-year run, Periscope signed off on March 31st. It said goodbye. It says Periscope is grateful for you going live together and being part of this community. Past public broadcasts will continue to be available on the Periscope web. So if you go to Periscope TV and you look, you can find all the content that was shared, all the people who had content on there. Those of us who were informed that this was going to happen a long time back, I've been archiving content off of that. But it's funny to go back and look at the early days of live streaming and how we were learning. And now live streaming is available on every platform. I mean, LinkedIn is about to add a live streaming component. YouTube has live streaming because I'm going live on YouTube right now. Facebook has it. Instagram has it. All of the platforms now have live streaming capabilities, and people are sharing their content with each other. So it's really great. It was, you remember Periscope, Sherry? Yes, you do. You were one of the originals. It was great, minus the trolls. Yes, it was. And as we all know, with all social media platforms, there are going to be trolls. They're just going to happen. And that's just part of the dynamic, unfortunately, when you're dealing with the internet and you're dealing with things that are free, you're going to have people jumping on. Love's Bakery. I mentioned it in a previous broadcast, but Love's Bakery in Hawaii, after 170 years on the island, Love's Bakery closed. The pandemic, unfortunately, hit them really, really hard, and they are POW. They are no more. POW means all finished, all done. And so they were done. So March ended on kind of a bittersweet note, saying goodbye to landmark things that happened. But the stories that were created, the stories and the relationships that were created through both the Periscope app and through the relationship that Love Bakery had with the people on the island of Hawaii, those memories cannot be erased. We are sad to see those things go, but sometimes those things have to go so that new things can emerge in their place. So we started off April 1st, April Fool's Day, a day filled, some people with pranks, some people with pulling fun little jokes. Unfortunately for me, April 1st is not a happy memory day for me. April 1st, 2012, I lost my father. And then April 1st of 2013 was when my late husband, Sam, was given his terminal diagnosis. Both of those things happened on April 1st. The irony is not lost on me. Somehow we laugh through our tears and make it through those days. And so it brought us into Easter week. Easter week, the week where we celebrate the great sacrifice that Christ made on our behalf. So why do we celebrate Holy Saturday? What is the importance of Holy Saturday? Well, it's the day in the Christian liturgical calendar that celebrates the 40-hour vigil that the followers of Jesus held after his death and burial and before his resurrection. So this was 40 hours of them grieving. Imagine, here's Jesus, Son of God. God, how did this happen? How could this happen? You were here in the flesh. Why were they able to kill you? What happened? So Holy Saturday is the last day of Lent. We've been in the season of Lent. And it's the last day of Holy Week. It is the third day of the Easter Trivium and the three high holidays before Easter, which were Holy Thursday, Maundy Thursday, Good Friday, and Holy Saturday. So this is the day between Good Friday and Easter Sunday that is recognized because his followers were waiting They were waiting outside his tomb. They were waiting for something to happen. Have you been waiting for something to happen? Have you been waiting through this pandemic, feel like you've just been in a tomb? We've all kind of been in sort of a metaphorical tomb of waiting. And because we have the spring season happening, we love the flowers that are blooming and the warm temperatures that are returning and our ducks in our yard that are getting ready to have baby ducklings soon. We're waiting, right? We're anticipating what's going to happen. So, according to the Bible, Jesus' followers and his family held a vigil for him outside his tomb. And um, these references, Matthew chapter 27, Mark chapter 15, Luke chapter 23, and John chapter 19. John is one of my favorite books in the Bible. And John 17, the prayer that Jesus prays in the Garden of Gethsemane for us, reveals his heart. But now he's been crucified and is in the tomb. So Joseph of Arimathea, according to Mark 15, brought some linen cloth, took down the body, wrapped it in the linen, and placed it in the tomb. Then he rolled a stone against the entrance of the tomb, and there Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of Joseph, saw where he was laid. So there were witnesses to the fact that he died, that he was put in the tomb, and a stone was rolled over. Now, we all know the story. We all know the story of when the angels came and the stone was rolled away. Now, you ever wonder what was going on while Jesus was laying there? Because it wasn't like he died and immediately ascended to heaven in some grand CGI event. No, see, he spent time in the tomb. He spent time in the tomb. Now, there are no direct references in the canonical Bible as to what Jesus did with the disciples and his family while they sat and waited in their vigil, except his last words that he said to Barabbas while he was hanging on the cross, which is, "Today, you will be with me in paradise." Now, there are some iffy interpretations. Is it today, comma, you will be with me in paradise? Well, that's not possible because Jesus wasn't in paradise yet. So he said, truly, I tell you today, you will be with me in paradise. See, that makes more sense because Jesus was actually in the tomb. So the authors of the Apostle Creed and the Athanasian Creed, however, refer to this day as what they call the harrowing of hell. This is when, after his death, that Christ descended into hell to free all the souls who had died since the beginning of the world and allowed the trapped righteous souls to reach heaven. You see, there had not been a way made until Jesus came. So there are stories in what are called the apocryphal text. These are texts that were written in the same time as the biblical canonical texts, but they are not considered part of the canonical Bible. So in the apocryphal text, where there are additional books, there's a book called the Acts of Pilate, or the Gospel of Pilate. We know that Pilate was the Roman leader who had to oversee the hearing and said, I'm not having anything to do with this. So in this Gospel of Nicodemus, which is also known as the Gospel of Pilate, there's a passage that says, then the Lord stretched forth his hand, made the sign of the cross upon Adam and upon all his saints, and taking hold of Adam by the right hand, he ascended from hell, and all the saints of God followed him. Now, isn't that interesting that it says that he made the sign of the cross over Adam? There's a lot of ideological interpretations of what happened to Adam and Eve when they died. And were they part of God's plan of redemption? So the stories do originate, and they are referred to in passing in several places in the canonical Bible. The most significant is found in 1 Peter chapter 3. So I want to read this to you because it's really interesting when you know what the word says and you're able to reference these and do some research to cross-reference the stories to find out what's going on. So in First Peter chapter 3, Peter says, because this is the chapter about how we are to live our lives, right? It's all a chapter about godly living, about how we are to live our lives. And so in this chapter, in chapter, in verse, let's see, where are we here? Yes, so it starts with verse 18. So First Peter chapter 3, verse 18, it says, "For Christ also died for sins once and for all." Let's just sit on that part for a while. He died for sins once and for all. So you realize that every human being is a blood bought soul that belongs to God. The just for the unjust, so that he might bring us to God. He brings us to God. We don't bring people to God. We point people to God, but Christ actually is the one who brings people to God. Having been put to death in the flesh, but made alive in the spirit. And here's the verse where this reference is made, in which he also went and made proclamation to the spirits now in prison, who once were disobedient when the patience of God kept waiting in the days of Noah during the construction of the ark, in which a few, that is, 8 persons, were brought safely through the water. Corresponding to that, baptism now saves you, not the removal of dirt from the flesh, but an appeal to God for a good conscience through the resurrection of Jesus Christ. This is what Easter means. This is what the sacrifice was made for. This is why we celebrate Easter. You can't wait to go back to Hawaii someday, the best food ever. Yes, yes, absolutely the best food ever. Times where we think that we're stuck, but realizing and having vision for the future to understand that we're just pivoting. We're pivoting, guys, right? And so that's what Easter Sunday means. So, in sharing that, I want to share with you a poem written by a friend of mine. Her name is Cassidy Doolittle. She's an amazing artist. She draws these cute little napkins for her kids to put in their lunches, and she's a fabulous artist. And so we become friends. She lives here in the Dallas Fort Worth area, but the other day I caught a post that she made, and she shares this every year at Easter. And so I want to share with you a picture while I read this poem because I thought this was really amazing. I really loved her sense of sharing her thoughts and putting it in a poetry form. And the reason why this is so important is because April is National Poetry Month. So I'm going to be featuring and sharing a lot of stuff about poetry and writing poetry. So I hope you'll join me and I hope you will follow along as I share those. But I want you to look at this picture. I love this drawing, right? The crown of thorns and the blood that was shed. So I want you to listen to this beautiful poem that she wrote. I loved it. And I'll talk a little bit about the meter and the rhyme scheme that she wrote, but it starts off, "Love climbed a darkened hill today, blood seeping down his face. Toward the top a lonely cliff, 3 crosses for 3 fates. Just days before they hailed him king, laid palms before his feet. Now they cursed and beat and bruised him raw as love fell to the street. He laid upon the rocky road, stones cutting deep his cheeks. They kicked and laughed and mocked the one who came to set them free. Yet mercy flowed out with the blood as nails in flesh ripped through. Oh my God, forgive them, Lord. They know not what they do." One last breath as ragged lungs had not the strength to draw. "It is finished," love cried out, veil torn, skies black, all saw. The Roman soldiers gaped with fear, the ground began to quake. Break their legs, but pierce his side, remove the metal stakes. Mary reached with aching arms, the thorns and nails were tossed. She'd birthed and loved and worshipped him from manger to cruel cross. They cleaned the blood and wrapped him tight and laid him in a tomb, then fled with fear and tragic loss, all huddled in one room. That room was thick with fear and pain, confusion just as raw. They saw their Savior weak and die, the one without a flaw. They knew it not, but 3 days hence their pain would burst to joy, when tomb and grave clothes found corpse free, sin beaten, death destroyed. He'd move and weave amongst them, assuring he was real, placing hands on nail-pierced wrists, grace at last revealed. Upon that hill, love died today, but all is far from lost. Love came back beyond the grave to save us at great cost. I thought that poem was beautiful. I loved how simple her words were. I loved that she used the iambic rhyme scheme, the rhythm of the words that flowed so beautifully. And I thought it really encapsulated what it is that we're seeing and what we're understanding about Easter weekend. So as I've shared with you before, I love getting to share my Hawaiian heritage with you. I love getting to share a little bit about my homeland, my ethnic heritage, and I love getting to share with you your Hawaiian words of the week. So just as a review, let's talk a little bit about some of the words that we learned here, especially last weekend. So we are learning some olelo of the week, your Hawaiian words of the week. So this is the month of April, Apelila, and today is the third day of Apelila. And we learned last week that Aha'aina Moliaola is the feast of Passover, right? Which is what we've been celebrating, what our Jewish friends have been celebrating all week. Well, today we're going to talk about Haoli Pakoa, which means Happy Easter. And I have a picture for you. There it is. Haoli Pakoa. That means Happy Easter in Hawaiian. So I hope you plan to have a wonderful, happy Easter with your family. Happy weekend. Maybe you're getting together with your kids and doing something fun. Or maybe you're just enjoying the relaxing of the weekend, right? And the coming of spring and the warm temperatures. Our trees have been, all the leaves are coming back. We have flowers coming back. Like I said, our ducklings will be coming soon. I don't know when they're going to be coming, but I hope they come soon. So, Haoli Pakoa, that is your Hawaiian olelo for this weekend. So, I hope, like my daughter said, someday we want to get back to going to Hawaii. So, as we talk about pivoting, as we talk about changing, as we talk about these interesting stories that happen, you know I always love to share great books. And there are 3 great books that I want to be sharing. One that I'm going to be doing in my VIP book club that I'm super, super excited about. But there's a couple of other books that I wanted to share with you because I think they are fascinating. I think they're going to be really interesting to see how people react to them and how people enjoy them. So as you know, I am about all things royal with Queen Elizabeth and her family and her reign on the throne. So there are a couple of books coming out, and one of them is really interesting because it's written by a gentleman who I have read his other books before. If you've read the books about Diana, you've read books by Andrew Morton. Andrew Morton has come out with a new book called Elizabeth and Margaret, The Intimate World of the Windsor Sisters. And this book really focuses on their relationship, especially from the time they were young, when their father suddenly was thrust into being king, and then when their father passed, and Elizabeth, I mean, they were never planning on serving in an active role in the monarchy. Elizabeth's uncle, Edward, was the one that was supposed to be the king. And when he abdicated the throne, her father, George, who was never planned to be the king, suddenly became the king. And then, of course, this put Elizabeth next in line to the throne. And so, how that impacted the lives of these sisters and their relationship is a tell-all story. And so Andrew Morton has done this. He's put this together. He was the one responsible for helping Princess Diana tell her story. So I really think this is going to be an interesting look into the lives of these two ladies, of these two women whose roles in society and in history were very important. And so, if you get a chance, if you love reading things about the monarchy, especially with everything that's been going on lately, the monarchy is facing a time where they're going to have to pivot, right? Things are changing. Queen Elizabeth is getting ready to celebrate her 70th year on the throne. She is the longest reigning British monarch in history. And so, that's why she's such a treasure. So, if you get a chance, if you love learning about that, check it out. It is the book entitled Elizabeth and Margaret, about the relationship of the Windsor sisters. Now, speaking of other great women, other fabulous women in history, there's one woman that you know, and another one you probably don't know. Let me pull that picture up here because this is going to be an interesting book. Did you know that women invented television? Did you know that? Did you know that it was actually helped given its start by some fabulous women? Now, you may know about these women. Here, I'm going to look up the so the book is, I'm going to get the picture up here on the screen. All right, come on, book. Come on. Where are you? Where's my picture? I know I had it up here. Let me see. There we go. There you are. There it is. All right, now I can share it with you. Someday I will get all of this done by someone who's a professional producer. Okay, so this book, When Women Invented Television, the untold story of the female powerhouses who pioneered the way we watch today. So, New York Times bestselling author of Seinfeldia, Jennifer Keeshan Armstrong, tells the little-known story of four trailblazing women in the early days of television who laid the foundation of the industry that we know today. It was the golden age of radio, and powerful men were making millions in advertising dollars, reaching thousands of listeners every day. When television arose, few radio moguls were interested in the upstart industry, and its tiny production budgets and expensive television sets were out of reach for most families. But four women, each an independent visionary, saw an opportunity and carved their own paths, and in doing so, invented the way we watch television today. Three of the names you may not know. One of them you do know, and she is a national treasure. In fact, when anything happens, people are always like, oh, is she still here? Is she still with us? Please somebody make sure she's still with us. So Ima Phillips turned real-life tragedy into daytime serials featuring female-dominated casts. Gertrude Berg turned her radio show into a Jewish family comedy that spawned a play, a musical, an advice column, a line of house dresses, and other products. Hazel Scott, already a renowned musician, was the first African American to host a national evening variety program. And Ms. Betty White became a daytime talk show fan favorite and one of the first women to produce, write, and star in her own show. Together, their stories chronicle a forgotten chapter in the history of television and popular culture. So, when women invented television, how about that? Fabulous, powerful women who were so important to creating and shaping the medium that we have today. And we all know how we feel about Miss Betty White, right? So check it out. Read her story. Read about how she was involved in the creating of and the struggles that they had to face as women in the industry, right? So check that out. Be sure to grab a copy. I'll be sharing links to all of these in the comment thread here of this broadcast. I'll also be sharing it on my page. So last but not least, I am super excited to share this book with you that has really been a game changer. I've been involved for the last 6 weeks in this book launch. I have been going through the first iteration of a course that the author has created in tandem with this book. I cannot recommend it enough. I think it's really going to be a game changer. And I'm really excited to see this book be as successful as it is. I have been following and have known this author for the last 8 years and have been involved in the last 4 of his book launches. And every time he releases a book, I'm super encouraged and blessed to see not only his great content, but how he has even grown and changed and really just thrived in creating his books. And each book gets better and better because he's not just depending on his own resources, but he is collaborating with others to bring really solid data behind some of the concepts that he is sharing. So the book that I am excited to share with you today, and that I'm going to be sharing with my VIP group for our book club, is Jon Acuff's recent release called Soundtracks. Guys, this book is truly a game changer because Jon dives deep into the science behind overthinking, the science and the data behind how our brain wires itself to get us through life, right? Our brain not only records and stores memories, but it also plays them back for us. Sometimes if your stories come from a difficult background, then you're going to have these soundtracks playing that are, oh, I can't do that. I don't know if I could do that. How come she always get, right? Those negative soundtracks that play. So what Jon does is he is helping us find a solution to why we overthink and sometimes why it's so detrimental to what we're trying to accomplish. So if you're interested in being part of the book club, please let me know. You can drop a comment here. You'll be seeing me posting and promoting about this because we are going to be starting the book Tuesday on the day that he officially launches. So Soundtracks has just been, like I said, a true game changer in even helping me identify, wow, I didn't realize the subtle soundtracks that we play in our head that sabotage us from moving forward, from accomplishing tasks, from having really great relationships. Have you ever had a text message from someone come through that you haven't seen in a while? When you get their text message, you're like, oh my God, I haven't answered. I haven't talked to her like forever. I wonder if she's mad. I wonder if she, and all that person is trying to do is just say, hey, haven't talked to you in a while, right? Do you hear him? I hear him. Soundtracks, the soundtracks that play in our head. So if you have a problem with overthinking, right? Oh, hi, Milo. If overthinking has ever been a problem for you, if you've ever overthought things like to the nth degree that have actually caused you to get stuck, kind of like the Ever Given ship, right? Feeling like you're stuck. The pandemic did a number on a lot of us, and we've had to really rethink our jobs, our social lives, right? Right, Milo? What do you think? Have you been overthinking? And so you got to get this book. Get a copy of it. We're going to be going through it in the month of April. You'll be seeing me post about it. I'll be sharing a lot about it over this next month because I truly think that it's something that a lot of people struggle with. When Jon did a survey and he asked 10,000 people, hey, do you have a problem with overthinking? A resounding 99% of them said, absolutely. And gave examples of even how they overthink. So it's truly important that we learn about these things, because what John is doing is helping us learn how to break those broken soundtracks and replace them with ones that serve us better and help us accomplish our goals. He's also got a great podcast called All It Takes Is a Goal. And so if you want to learn more about setting your goals, accomplishing your goals, not overthinking your goals, this book is a game changer, and it is a great one for you. And is a great gift idea for friends, family members, college students, anyone who you know of who's been having a rough time in this pandemic. Let's help them create some new soundtracks, right? To help them move forward. So I hope you'll join me. I'm excited about it. The folks in my VIP group, we've been chatting a little bit about it. That is not my tail. That is Milo's tail. Because Milo has to join me on the broadcast. He doesn't want to miss anything. So catch a copy of the book. I'll be putting the links down below in the comment thread here on this broadcast so that you can pick up a copy. I'm excited to learn more about how overthinking has affected you and what you've been doing to create some new soundtracks. So hope you will join me. And again, if you want to know more about how you can join the book club and how you can get involved, you can go right here to my website at ronaeharden.com/contact. You'll want to check the option for Through the Pages Book Club. That will let me know that you want to join our From the Editor's Desk VIP group, where we will be chatting more about this book in depth and really encouraging and supporting each other to create new soundtracks. And if you miss this broadcast and you can't catch it live, you can always catch all of my broadcasts live on my YouTube channel right here at youtube.com/Monet Harden. You can always drop me a note here in the broadcast. And as always, just shoot me a note right here. Let me know how I can help serve you in telling your stories and getting your content shared with the world. All right. So guys, hope you have a fantastic and blessed holiday weekend. Remember, we are all pivoting. We are all doing what we can to change our soundtracks and move forward with our goals. So if I can help you with yours, please let me know. Until then, I will see you next Saturday, where we will talk about this book, the other stories that happen in our week, and maybe I'll share a little bit about what Milo's doing this week, since he likes to be a part of the broadcast. Guys, I hope you have a blessed and happy Easter weekend. I know we will. Right, Milo? Say hi to everybody, Milo. And I'll catch you back here next Saturday for more From the Editor's Desk. Thanks for joining me. Hope you have a blessed weekend. I'll see you next time.